Hello and welcome to Plate Stack Chat. I see some people already in the comments, so that's nice. It means you're looking forward to today's guest. If this is your first time here, however, welcome. My name is Jason. I like to find some wonderful guests and bring them on for a chat, and 2025 is already looking like a very good year. I've got some great guests already lined up, but we have a fantastic one for you today. So let's meet them now. She made her debut at the CrossFit Games as a teen back in 2016 and went back again in 2017. Jump ahead to 2023 and she made her return to the Games, this time in the elite individual field, and once again last year. And in that little gap between the Games appearances, well, she did also become an engineer, so she clearly has more than fitness going for her. She loves to travel, but that does mean that we've actually met in person, so it was very hard for her to turn down an invitation on the show, so she might not love traveling as much anymore. Who knows? But let's welcome the wonderful Shelby Neal.
Hello.
Hi, Shelby.
Hi.
Welcome. So how are you, first of all?
Doing good. How are you? Happy to be here.
I'm well. Happy that you're here as well. That's good.
Yeah.
Shelby, before we go any further, I've got to address something straight off because it will distract me the entire show if I don't bring it up now.
Yeah.
Because I keep thinking, should I even mention it? Can
Okay.
I ask, is there like an origin behind your name, Shelby? Like, is that a family name? Did your parents pick it because of a certain reason? Or I'm just curious as to why that's your name.
That's a good question. I think my dad just likes the idea of like a car name. I don't think there's any significance to my first name besides just like it's a cool, really kind of unique. Like I don't meet many Shelbys, honestly. It's like just kind of just there's only one, just me, as far as I'm aware. And then yeah, my middle name is my dad's mom's name. So
Right.
that's the only name that's like kind of significant. And then obviously my last name. So
Okay.
nothing cool. Hopefully I'm like as fast as the name suggests on the floor.
Now, the reason I ask is because growing up, we had dogs, and one of our dogs was called Shelby. And there was a reason for the name as well. So this is why I was just kind of curious as to, because depending on who you asked, there was a different reason behind the name.
Really?
Yeah. Because, everybody likes the idea like, oh, it was named after the car, kind of, that's the
Yeah.
cool origin story of the name. That's not why our dog was called Shelby.
Well, why was it called that?
It was called Shelby because I think this, I mean, we're going back like more than 20 years now as well. So this is, a while ago. But I think it was because my sister, my dad, they wanted a dog. My mum didn't really want a dog. And sort of part of the kind of bargaining process was that my mum could name the dogs. Specifically, something that my mum really loved and my dad didn't like was Star Trek.
Okay.
So she had to pick names from Star Trek, but they also had to be kind of obscure.
Okay.
And so that is how we ended up with Shelby. So,
I'm not up to date on Star Trek.
You don't need to be up to date. This was what the Next Generation debuted in '87.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah.
I know that
I'm
because
a
that's
little
the year I was
behind.
born.
What I mean.
Don't worry. But I thought, I bet, should I tell her that she's got the same name as a dog that I had years and years and years ago? I don't know. Is that offensive? That was
Yeah.
my
No,
thought
I've met
process.
more dog Shelbys than human Shelbys, actually. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so you just hear someone shouting, Shelby, Shelby, you turn, and this dog is running towards
It's a
me like,
dog name,
okay,
apparently.
it's another dog, Shelby.
But I think you give dogs cute names. So that's kind of like, that makes me feel better.
What a compliment, hey?
Yeah, what a compliment.
And then you'll start meeting, like, it's when you start meeting CrossFitters that have babies and they've called their baby Shelby, then you'll be like, whoa, hold on.
Things are getting weird.
Yeah. And then you're like quickly just checking, do they follow me on Instagram? Oh, they do. Oh, I don't know about this.
So.
Now, Shelby, I mentioned you love traveling. You've been traveling recently because I saw you in beautiful Birmingham. So
yeah, beautiful.
and as always, the weather was delightful. So that
yeah,
was
I think I was told it was not always that bad, but I kind of stopped believing people. Like it seemed like it was just a little bit windier than normal, and that was tough. But it's pretty similar to that.
I think it's because a lot of the people at the event had been given white rads, so they were like, how can we make these as muddy and dirty as possible? Oh yeah. Let's just have you walking through the torrential rain of Birmingham. But I do know that after the couple of days you got to spend, at FitFest, which
Mhm.
was, I mean, how was that experience for you, by the way?
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, it was really cool. It was like a very different environment, different experience where all the athletes are just there having fun and like kind of just showcasing. And it was really cool to like not have to worry about, you know, eating and sleeping really well. And I could just kind of hang out with people, do my best still, obviously, and like have fun, but at the same time, like take some stress out of it, which for me, I get a lot of like in my head about competitions and can easily like let my nerves kind of like consume me. So it was kind of like a little practice kind of sort of thing, which was like also very real because you're there in person kind of thing, of like trying to cool down and relax and have fun, try different methods of like bringing your, you know, anxiety, your hormones kind of
Yeah.
down, regulate, and go out on the floor and still compete, push hard. So
Yeah,
obviously
I
we just
guess,
wanted to win, but
which you did. So congratulations.
yay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I guess as well, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because already like you're in a team which sometimes is like not, it's not like less pressure, but it's less pressure just on you because there's other people that can, there's like the added pressure of, oh, I don't want to mess up because of my, you know, for my team. But
Yeah.
then also like when an event doesn't go that well, maybe you can be like, well, actually I did okay. It
Yeah.
wasn't me. Like I wasn't the weak link this time.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Like you don't want to be the weak link because it's like kind of more maybe more obvious when you're like on a team.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean it was fun. I think I had a couple of moments that I'm like, yeah, this went perfect, and a couple of moments that I was like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that.
Yeah. How did you enjoy the obstacle course?
That was one of my favorite parts actually, and I surprised myself. I think I was really timid before. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that, which I had a lot of bad like juju going into that event because I swear everyone like was just hurting their Achilles before, and like I had a
Right.
close friend who tore his Achilles on a warp wall like playing with his kids. Obviously at Rogue there's a lot of people who tore their Achilles, and so in my head I was like, this is like red flag, red flag, like I do not need to be doing this. It's not the time to be a hero. And I ended up obviously being fine, and I think I was actually one of the faster females, so I was pretty like stoked about that because I think I was really timid going into that event, and then I was like, once it started, I was like, oh heck yeah, I'm good at this.
And then when it finished, you guys were all back like trying the rings. There was a whole group of you being like, I think we could have done it faster. I think it was
Yeah,
so great to see like the CrossFit mentality of
yeah,
you've done it now. It's you're not doing it again. It's finished, but you're still all back there being like, maybe if I'd actually tried skipping a ring here, and maybe if I'd done that, I could have been.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's so true because it's like I think that's one of the things like Brent has taught me is like you kind of just have to take like it's hard to get access to a lot of those weird elements, and you only
right.
get a couple touches a year on them. Um, like I'm not gonna find rings of that distance apart. Just 2 minutes from my house, I'm gonna have to drive an hour. I'm gonna have to do research to find something like that. So right now, it's all right here. Like, what can I do to get in a couple more touches, and then who knows when it'll pay off in the
Yeah.
future.
When they announce another obstacle course race at the games, you'll be like,
Yeah, it's like okay, I can do it 5 seconds faster than before, and maybe that's the difference between second and 10th. It's
yeah,
great.
maybe even first. Oh,
Maybe even first.
imagine if it's first and it's just imagine if actually like all the top positions, it's like you, Ariel, Abby, it's just everyone that was at FitFest is
That
like
would be yeah. There you go.
that would be great. Okay, let's just Jake is here. Shelby Neal, as I live and breathe. Yeah, I know. She actually came. Who knew?
Yeah. Achilles, is that not pronounced?
I think that's right.
I don't
Achilles.
know if it's um
I don't
an
know.
English versus American pronunciation or something.
No, I would have said Achilles.
Achilles.
Achilles. Well, it's. I'm thinking Greek anyway, right? So
Oh, are you Greek?
no, but Achilles. Achilles is
Oh,
Greek.
Achilles heel. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, not only was I at Rogue, I was literally sat behind the start line. So when
Mhm.
they were jumping over, like it was a front row seat for people's Achilles
Yeah.
blowing up, which was
Yeah.
yeah, not
I've
not
I've
pleasant.
just heard of it so often. Like even years ago, when bounding box jumps was more of a common practice. I have I think Alexis Johnson, she tore her Achilles. So, and I'm like kind of close with her, and I train with her, and so like it's just always been in my head. It's like you just need to keep bounding when you need to bound, kind of like when it's time you bound, and when it's not, then
Yeah.
nope.
Which is why I
Not
never bound.
no, I don't bound.
I
Actually,
never need to.
not.
This is the beauty of not competing. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Achilles versus Achilles.
Achilles. Achilles.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, okay. Anyway, yes. So you're at FitFest. The weather outside wasn't very nice. The experience inside, wonderful. But then you did get to go and do some bit of traveling after that. Where did you head
Yeah.
after? Where was like the next stop?
So I went to Spain. I might butcher the name, but Palma de Mallorca, Mallorca, Mallorca.
Mallorca. Yeah.
I might be.
I don't know. Jake, let us know.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think I was saying it a little bit weird, and then someone corrected me, and I was like, well, like, sorry, I don't speak Spanish. Like, I'm trying to learn Spanish, but I'm learning more of like Central American, Latin American Spanish. So Spain Spanish is also like a little. It sounds different to
Yeah.
me. So I'm like, sorry, like, doing my best here. It's
Yeah.
not my language. But yeah, I did go to Spain, and it was really fun. I went for like a week, and a little cold there for like a beach type vacation, but I still did some cold plunges in the ocean. Got to
And
see a few.
it was winter as well. Like
Yeah,
let's be
I mean,
honest. It's it's a little cold there. You were there in December.
yes,
That's
yeah,
I don't know if we can blame Spain for that. But anyway,
yeah, no.
what happened with your car? You had some car trouble while you were there.
Oh yeah, so it was my friend's car. I think she hit a curb. I think that was the cause. Maybe not. Maybe it just was broken. But yeah, the tire went flat, and then we were on the side of the road. Both of us don't speak Spanish good enough
As you've said.
to answer the phone, so we called like the insurance, and it's just Spanish,
Yeah.
and just like English, please, like into the automated system until you can finally get to someone who speaks kind of like broken English, and we figured it out. But it did cut into our day just a little bit, and we didn't
Yeah.
have like we didn't have anything to change the tire. Like I
No.
don't think we had a spare at the time, so
Was
we
it
were.
like a rental car? I'm guessing,
No,
or it was
she
actually
lived
her
there,
car. Oh,
so
she
it's
lived
her.
there. Okay.
Yeah, so very
Yeah.
sad.
I mean, a lot of cars now they don't have a spare. They have like the foam kind of stuff that they
Oh,
like
okay.
they put it in the tire and then they pump the tire up and it will last long enough to get you to a
Ah,
garage or somewhere where they're gonna change a tire. So
mm.
yeah, I think when we bought our car, we were like, oh great, we've got a car, and we opened the back and there's just like a kit, and you're like, oh, that's I guess useful.
Yeah.
But
I've actually never had so much car trouble. I've only known those like the bacon strips that you like shove into the hole.
right,
That's the
yeah.
only thing I've ever done to like patch a tire, and it's been fine. But
I mean, you're an engineer. You could have built like a hovercraft or something while you were there. You said, don't worry about it. I'll
I have
solve the
shit.
problem.
I had no tools. I had
Oh yeah.
I had no tire. What am I supposed to
Oh,
do?
I love the excuse here. It's like it's not that I don't speak Spanish. It's I know like the Central American Spanish. Oh, I could have built something. I just didn't have the tools. I just
No, I know. I literally know. I'm like level 2, maybe 1 of 10 of the Spanish right now. So
yeah. What I do find it's funny though with languages is like you see like you'll learn the language, but there are so many words you discover you don't know, and you
yeah,
find that out when you need them.
yeah,
Like I mean, I lived in Italy for 10 years, and by
hmm
the end, I was like, I think my Italian is pretty good. But
yeah,
when you have to go to the doctor and
right,
start explaining something, or even with like a car, I remember
yeah,
having to like get stuff done on my car, and I'm thinking, do you know, I'm not even sure I know the word of the thing I need in English,
right,
let alone in another language. So
yeah,
yeah, so well, maybe when you're level 50 Spanish, you might be,
yeah.
you
Level.
might be
I need to get way beyond. I think I know a lot of basics that I can get around with signs and stuff, and like I can say something to somebody and ask for something, but if
yeah.
they have a long-winded response back to me, it's like that's not good.
Yeah. So
We're gonna
you,
understand.
you won't be showing up on any Spanish podcasts yet. You'll be
Yeah,
like
I would
you'll
love
be
that. I
waiting.
think my like one of my small goals is like it would be cool to be able to coach in Spanish. Like one day move. to a Spanish speaking country and be able to speak Spanish and good be enough to like coach CrossFit, because that would
Yeah.
be very fun, or like coach a specific like a one-on-one with a person. I think if I can get to that level, I'll be very happy with myself. I maybe don't need to be having philosophical
Yeah.
conversations in Spanish. Maybe that's a little too far of a goal, but yeah.
Well, you never know. Maybe that will happen. But
Yeah,
that's what
who knows?
I'm just trying to think how many philosophical conversations I've had with members at the box in general.
Oh yeah. Maybe I do that a little too
There
often.
are some deep thinkers there, though.
Yeah,
That post-WOD clarity when you're just like, oh,
yeah.
actually, now that I think about it, okay. So
I
and
think it's pretty funny. Like at boxes, it's such a wide variety of person at a CrossFit box. You've
yeah,
got people from all like walks of life, I think, all coming together. So you do end up talking about some stuff you never expect.
yeah. It's kind of like when you go to school as a kid, right? Like, so not like when you're training to become an engineer and you've all kind of got this maybe focus, but like
Mhm.
like my kids when they're at school, it's just it's more geographic, right? It's just, well, you all happen to live in the same sort of area, so you're all going to this school, okay?
Yeah.
And like home life incredibly different, views
Yeah.
on things very different,
Yeah.
upbringing, background, culture, all of that, but you all happen to live near this school. That's where you go. And with CrossFit, it's a bit like that, right? So you're all there because that's the closest CrossFit box, and you've got this one common interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then some people have like 50 common interests, and other people it is, no, I
Just
think it's just the CrossFit
yeah.
that we both like. I mean, that's great, especially like where I live in Bath. It's like a real melting pot of different, because there's, it's like a historic city, but then there's the universities. So there's just all
Yeah.
different like reasons that people are here. And you
Yeah.
just have
Yeah.
such a variety of people, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Jake, is homeschool is homeschooling like open gym? Yeah, I guess so. I guess.
Hmm. I'm not sure I understand the analogy. I'm like thinking about it. Probably I kind of get it. And I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
that's a philosophical question.
There you go. Yeah, we need to improve our English first, Jake, and then we'll get there. Um, one of the things, I mean, we've mentioned about the engineering, like you said, no, I think I told you at FitFest that this was the thing people kept telling me about you. Like
Oh, really?
everyone I would speak to kind of outside of the
Who
athletes, but
who
like,
did you talk to?
oh, just like the fans,
Okay. Okay.
like the people I know because we happen to, similar to how we happen to be near the same place, so we go to school. The people that I see regularly at events in the UK, so
Yeah.
just kind of mostly volunteers, probably were the ones telling me, volunteers or spectators, or maybe some of those that were competing in like the triple threat or the affects, things like that. So
Yeah.
I'd bump into them, they'd talk. If they'd met you, they were like,
Yeah.
oh, Shelby, she's lovely, wonderful, da, da. And then they would hit me with this like real kind of this bit of trivia, like, oh, did you know
Yeah.
did you
Yeah.
know she's an engineer, like
Yeah.
full-time engineer? And I
I
was like,
think
well,
the
yes, I did know.
announcer was saying it a lot. I think that's maybe why, or because it came up in like the
Yeah,
first interview, and then
he's going to
then
be
it was
very happy. Oh, he's going to be so happy that you've said
yeah,
this, because
yeah,
look, he's
Sam,
here.
right?
Sam, here he was.
Yeah.
Look, he's not. He's going to be listening back to this because he's got to go and pick up his kids from school. So
Okay.
he'll be
Yeah, I
listening
think
later.
he had some. Yeah, I think he said it or like interviewed me about it, and then it kind of was just like maybe something that like it's always kind of a light bulb, I think, because people can relate to it that they also work and do CrossFit,
Yeah.
and I work and do CrossFit and compete, so it's kind of like more relatable, or how I can
Oh,
get it
is it
get it
is it
going.
more relatable, or does it just make you even more of a superhuman?
Less
Maybe it's
relatable.
one of the two.
It's
Like as Corey's saying here, look, that's because Shelby is a lovely human and wicked smart, wicked smart. Yeah, because I'm thinking like, okay, we both do CrossFit,
hmm
but you are much better at CrossFit than me. So it's like, okay, she's better at CrossFit than me. That's absolutely fine. And then it's like, and we both work for a living.
Yeah, yeah,
And man, she's an engineer as well. So she's also doing pretty well in the in the work side of things. So no, but I could accept one of these. Accepting
yeah,
both of them is hard. It's like,
yeah, yeah. There's not a lot of time in the day for sure. It's a lot of making it work and accepting what you're able to do in the day and being very happy with what you are able to get done. So I could talk on it
how,
forever.
how did this become like, you don't, imagine you don't just fall into, oh, I'm just going to start working as an engineer. Like this must have been a goal, a desire. Kind of
Yeah, yeah. I've
how did
always
that come
kind of been,
about?
yeah, I've always kind of been into STEM. So I went to like it was called STEM high school, um, which basically you had to like apply for it. Very weird, but it was a public school and it
Right.
was just completely like a lottery. So I just got really lucky. I happened to be picked for this random, really small public school, and it was focused on like all my favorite subjects in school, like from middle school, right? When you know basically nothing about anything. But I really always loved science and math, and I didn't know what engineering was at the time, but I loved computers and technology and stuff like that. So that's kind of what the school focused on. STEM, it stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And then slowly I kind of realized that engineering was the route I wanted to go. And it was basically like, I think when I was younger, this is like a random thought I'm having right now. But if you know the show, like Cloudy, or the movie Cloudy with a Chance of
Chance of
Meatballs,
Meatballs. Yeah, of course.
so the guy on the show, he is like an inventor, and I think it clicked in high school that engineers are just inventors essentially.
Right. Yeah.
Like they make the world go round, and they are just innovating and inventing these new things all the time. And I think it clicked with me that, oh, I need to be an engineer, and I need to figure out kind of what area I'm interested in. And so that's my journey through college, was figuring out, am I more mechanically gifted or chemically or biomed, whatever I want to do, environmental, it could be anything. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I just kind of ran with it and I really enjoyed it.
I think I have it's just like twigged for me that I think my son is probably going to become an engineer because
Yeah.
he is exactly like you. Like his favorite subjects are, science and maths and he's good. And it's not just that he likes these subjects, he's just good at all of them.
Yeah.
And like we just got the report card back and it's just like, working above expectation at all of these different things. And I'm awful at maths.
Oh, really?
I was good at everything else, more or less. Like, I was kind of a lazy student. I didn't do homework. I didn't study very hard, but
Yeah.
I kind of felt it came quite easily, the majority of things, apart from math. I just could not
I
get it.
can't relate, but
Yeah.
math was the one thing that I think there's just laws to it, and it's just what it is, what it is. So I kind of like it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I relate to math.
Yeah, and that's why from simple, like, oh, math's so easy because like it just is, right? Like,
Yeah.
you use this formula and that's the solution. And
Yeah.
that's what frustrates me about it, I think, is because it doesn't work when I do it. And then I'm like, why doesn't it work? Like, whereas
And
at
you're doing
least,
it wrong, Jason.
I guess so, yeah. But I was good at science, which was you'd
Yeah,
think was
science is
like
a
the
little
same thing.
more, yeah. It's more like a mix of
But
math.
I was good. I'll tell you what, I was good at science, but I was good at chemistry and biology and not great at physics. So
Interesting.
again,
Yeah, that's not common.
so that's but I like thinking like history was like easy because it was just, well, remember this stuff that happened? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
you pass. Well done. I was like, great. And yeah, and English was fine, like literature and stuff like that, because that's kind of interpretive, right? So it's like, oh well,
Yeah.
I think he probably meant this.
Yeah.
Did he? Well, I don't know. He's dead. We can't ask him, but I think
Yeah,
that's probably what he
exactly.
meant.
That's why I didn't like English, I think. I think I'm very like, is it right or is it wrong? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's right or it's wrong. And with English, it was like, I know what I wrote is like, in my opinion, right? What I wrote is better than another person's, but they would get a better grade than me or the same grade as me. And I'm like, which is right? You know what I mean? Like they can't both be right, but that's just not how English operates.
I see. That's why she likes maths. There we go. So you're, it's quite interesting though, your line of engineering then, because you were saying you kind of got to discover which one works
Hmm.
for you. So what is it you are doing as an engineer?
Yeah, so I got my degree in chemical engineering, with a little more focus in like materials. And now I did some like research in college that was more like biomedical focused. So if you think like orthopedics, 3D printing, intra-op surgery type stuff, basically aiding orthopedic surgeons with whatever they need to do, or designing implants for them, or instrumentation, whatever they need to make the procedure easier or more accurate. That's kind of what my research was under, and then now my full-time job is essentially doing the same thing, at a company like that. So I enjoy it.
How, and this is, you might not have an answer for this, but like you considering that was sort of what you studied and you did all your, like that was the study side of it, right?
Yeah.
Then getting into actually getting employed,
Yeah.
how often do they sync up so nicely? Because I think, a lot of people go to university, they study certain topics, and then when they leave, it's like they maybe get a job that is somehow tangentially linked to that thing, or maybe
Yeah.
not at all. I mean, this
Yeah.
sounds like it was, what you studied perfectly matched with now what you're doing full time.
Yeah, I kind of had like connections, I would say, like through the
Yeah.
research. Like I met someone who was getting their master's degree, and she found this company, and because it was her interest, and she was the one who trained me. And so then when I graduated, I reached out to her, hey, are you looking for an intern? And that's kind of how, like, I've actually never really had like a full blown, like real job interview type
Right.
format, where people do the video interviews and the 4 stage, all that,
Yeah.
because I've always just like my previous job has connected me with a person who trusts me and
Clever.
knows how I work, and then they hire me for this next job. Obviously, I'm 24, so I haven't had this is my first full time job, real full time job, but internship wise, that's kind of how it's always worked for
Yeah.
me. Um,
So
I
you
can't.
you haven't had people ask you questions like, so Shelby, what do you consider to be your biggest weakness?
Yeah, yeah, I freaking hate those questions. I've been avoiding that, and I hopefully can keep avoiding that.
Yeah. It's like, oh, probably it's just that I work too hard, and
Yeah, I'm
sometimes
like, what do you
when I get
know
so
why?
focused on working on a project that I forget to eat, and I forget to
Sometimes,
go
yeah.
home, and oh, it's such a big weakness. I'm so sorry. And then once you got the job, you're like, I'm out of here, guys. It's
Yeah.
lunchtime.
I never fail. Like, what do you want me
Yeah.
to make up some crazy freaking answer to this crap?
Yeah, man. I hate our job interviews are the worst.
But
I'm
to answer
glad I'm
your
self-employed.
first question, yeah, I think like because engineering is so weird. Like, it really is. I would say it's like when you get an engineering degree, especially one that's like mechanical or chemical, like one of the big ones. I'm trying to think of there's like three that are kind of like the engineering that are kind of very
Yeah.
big and encompassing and have been around for a very long time. Um, you can kind of pick what you want to do, like wherever you want to go. Like, engineering degree basically means like you're a problem solver, you're smart, you can figure it out, and people will hire you for stuff that's not even engineering just because they know like how you work, and they know they want an engineer mind in a job like this.
I
So
mean, literally, look at this. Corey says engineers' brains work differently than normal humans. It's fascinating. They have an innate need to know and how and why other stuff work. And then Jeffrey, who also said hello, hi Jeffrey. Uh, he adds, engineers' brains are problem solver brains. So
yeah.
there you go.
So
Okay,
it's not
this.
even like, it directly relates, like your engineering degree, you're solving math problems, or
Mhm. I
you're
mean, that's
literally solving problems, and it's not like that at all in a real
yeah.
job. So
No, it is funny, isn't it? That sometimes I mean, I've worked just because I traveled a lot. I've worked like a lot of different jobs, and
hmm
sometimes like I'll see, I would see like a job offer. I'd go in and apply for a job, and like, well, have you done this job before? And I'm like, well, I haven't, but like you've seen my CV, right? Like there's these jobs here. Can I? Because I don't think you can see how
yeah,
similar these things are. So I'm like trying basically through this interview trying to explain to you why the job you're doing essentially is the same thing as this other job. It's just a different product. It's just working in a
yeah,
slightly different way. But actually, all the skills I developed there, they will fit here. But like they can't see it, and half of the job is trying to help them
explain.
see.
Yeah,
Like you do realize that that's exactly what I was doing, but
yeah, yeah,
it was
yep,
just a different setting. Yeah. But
totally.
anyway, that was yeah. Oh man, that's in the past now. Don't worry about any of that.
Yeah, yeah,
I wish I could say, but I'm 24. I'm not 24, but anyway, that's all in the past. Um, well, I just had to ask, because everyone kept telling me you're an engineer. I was like, I know she's
yeah,
an engineer. I've seen her Instagram bio. It's there, like the third line. Just leave
yeah.
me
I
alone.
have to make sure people know because it is unique. So might as well.
It is, and I guess it's it's not as how do I put this? It's rarer than it used to be that
hmm
someone is not just working, but particularly working outside of the fitness world, I would
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
and still competing at the highest level within CrossFit.
yeah, yeah,
Um, there was a long period where you had to work because no one you know, yeah, let's say no one really was able to kind of make a living just doing CrossFit. But
Yeah.
even then, the people that worked were affiliate owners, coaches, that
Yeah. Yeah.
was their work, right? It was always sort of in. And then you would have, people like Brent, like Pat, that had jobs outside, others,
Yeah.
or often the job was very physical, like, the firefighter or the military or police or something like
Yeah.
that. But your job is like, I mean, it's a desk job, right? Kind of
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm.
And it's full time, right? You're working
Yeah.
full
Yeah.
time hours as well. So
Yeah.
like, so how are you doing? Shelby? That's the question, I guess, is what I want to ask.
Surviving, making it through. I
Surviving.
think it's, I mean, people ask that all the time, and it's just kind of like you just kind of take it day by day and give yourself some grace. Kind of like I was saying earlier, is just like I'm supposed to do 2 a days pretty much almost every day that I train. Like train a little bit in the morning and then come back like a short training session in the morning and then my little bit bigger training session at night. And if there's classes going on, sometimes I need to push that because I'm in the way, or I need a set of rings, but they need those set of rings, or they need the rig and it's taken. So you just kind of have to accept the chaos and like you're living a little bit in just a weird, just weird, and it's not going to be like easy because the gym's open gym is right in the middle of the day, and I can't always come because I work. Um, and some days we combine sessions, morning and night into one. Sometimes we just miss a session and we tell coach, hey, sorry, wasn't able to get it done. And I think sleep is more important. um,
Yeah.
I posted about this like a while ago, and I was actually just rereading my post the other day, and I was like, man, I have some good advice. But um, something that engineers do a lot is called like a cost benefit analysis,
Yeah.
right? So you're essentially like, I try to think about like the days, like how can I get the most out of this day with the situation that I was given, right? I woke up today and I only got 6 hours of sleep and I'm not fueling good enough and I feel like shit. And maybe today the best thing for me is to cut a training session or cut intensity, still maybe get the work done, but maybe just a little bit lighter or a little less intense, just going through the motion or thinking more on like a technique focus than like a score pace
Right.
focus, which I'm still going to get great training in. And so I can come home a little bit earlier, eat, get some sleep in, or get in some like recovery that my body's like asking for, or make it up on the weekend or whatever. Text the coach like, let's figure out what we need to do to like get.
Shelby, oh, your sound just disappeared on that final line. I'm sure it was great, but the final sentence,
Oh,
we lost you.
I said get the most benefit for the least amount of
Oh,
cost.
okay, yeah. So it's like the train smarter, not harder kind of thing. You're like, it's not
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I only got, I got less sleep than I needed, so I need to double down on my training to make up for like. It's like, well, no, now you're just making it worse. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. And I think CrossFitters have like the hardest time with that. And it sounds very simple, but I think at the same time people just really struggle to actually apply it, and like accept it's okay. I think a lot of the like the documentaries that we kind of like grew up on in CrossFit, like the 2015 to
Mhm.
2018 era, it was very like if you watch them back, oh, because I've watched some back, I mean, I think last year, and I was like, wow, like the culture has very much changed to a more health focus,
Yeah.
which makes you better versus like a pound yourself into the ground, like go hard. I train until I can't feel my arms. Like that has very much changed, I think, in the CrossFit space because athletes are waking up and realizing that's not actually the most effective way to
Yeah.
train.
Because they're waking up and going, I still can't feel my arms. That's not good. I
Yeah.
should be able to
Yeah.
feel them by now. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I think yeah, it's just interesting because obviously, um, I've been kind of one of the things I've been looking at for a few years now, or like intrigued by, is as more and more athletes get to that level where actually they've got enough sponsorship, enough support that they can kind of go full-time athlete.
Hmm.
Do you see the gap widening between those trying to break in versus those that are already established? And then there's that kind of, you know, aging out,
Yeah.
and the young blood coming, but the young blood is also having to work pretty hard outside of outside of doing CrossFit. So you're kind of like trying to see at what point does your
Yeah.
experience and the fact that you can now just dedicate all your time to CrossFit,
Yeah.
but now you're getting older and then being younger and maybe, having started CrossFit as kids versus you coming in from another sport. Like, it's just
Yeah.
interesting because the sport's so new to be able to
Yeah.
sort of see all these different little elements that are affecting it that
Hmm.
maybe, you kind of have to really step back and look at before you can sort of understand them. But anyway, that's
Yeah.
just me. That's
No, I think,
my analytical mind.
yeah. I think like 2 points on that is like also the season changing too. I mean, like I've
What?
talked to Brent about this. Like, yeah,
When's
what
that ever happened?
changes? What's the same? I don't know, nothing.
I have got a
um,
note on this. I will ask you a question about this in a minute.
yeah, I'm sure, exactly. So we'll talk about it already, but like the season changing, I mean, just looking at like when I first started CrossFit with regionals to now, the number of regional, i.e., semifinal, i.e., sanctional athletes that exist is way smaller. I mean, in the world total, it's shrinking and shrinking. The field is getting fitter and it's getting harder to break through every single year. The same people who are going to Wodapalooza and Rogue and the game, it's all the same people, right?
Yeah.
There's not more opportunities like for different athletes to come in and like compete at these competitions, right? Because all the like qualifications are kind of connected. So it's kind of interesting this year to see so many competitions. It's impossible for the top athletes to do everything. And so it's actually, and one thing that's good about it is that there are more opportunities for more people to compete at this high level and like get experiences. And if you miss one, there's always another. Or if you're too busy for one, there's always another. Like we've got the World Fitness Project, we've got the CrossFit Games season, all those semifinals, and we have Wodapalooza and Rogue and Dubai and all these other out of season comps. Literally, there's like 3 or 4 comps every month. So if you can't figure out a competition to go to, you need to work a little harder to do some research because there's a million.
Yeah. And I think you're right, because it's hard for, I mean, I know when I was talking with like Harry
Yeah.
about the fact that he doesn't really do, I mean, many, if any, comps in the UK, because
Hmm.
he's got that kind of like cost analysis that we're talking about of like, well, I can only do so many comps because when I go to a competition, it's travel time, it's this, it's that, it's all, it's all the other factors being taken away from my training.
Hmm.
So I need, I can only go to X amount in a year. And I
Hmm.
want to make sure if I'm at an event, he doesn't want to go and dominate an event. He wants to go and be pushed. So I need
Right.
to make
Yeah.
sure I'm going to an event where there are athletes of a caliber that will push me.
Yeah.
And that's really true of, those that want to break into that
Hmm.
semi-final, regional, sanctional level, or,
Yeah.
actually think they have a, if you think you've got a genuine shot of like, maybe not this year, but maybe next year, I could
Hmm.
make it to the games. I really believe I am, you know, fit enough, or I'm on my way to being fit enough. And you never get to push, and you're going to your local comps and you are absolutely dominating. Great.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
But if you never get that opportunity to go against the semi-final level, which can either be I did really well at that
Yeah.
event. Yeah, I do think I can go to the games. Like, that's
Yeah.
not a dream. Or, man,
I'm
the
not
level
ready.
of competition is so much stronger than I actually thought. When I've done simulations in my gym, it's been
Hmm.
fine, but being there on the like, I just guess what? We're not actually wrapping up at the moment this time. You've arrived before the end of the show. Congratulations. Yeah, so I think having more opportunities for more people to experience that is a good thing.
Good.
It's a good
Yeah.
thing for, for fitness in general, for all these different events. Having, because I was thinking about it when I kept seeing the names getting released for the World Fitness Project, and it
Hmm.
is funny because it's almost no surprises, right? It's like, yeah, these are the people we expect to see. Like, these
Hmm.
are the top tier athletes that we imagine, these are the ones that when they're at semifinals, we're kind of like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to get the ticket to the games. Like, that was,
Hmm.
um so it kind of, it's fascinating that it is such a small pool of people, and
Yeah.
and it is the same name. So I think, yeah, it would be nice to have that expand out a bit more, where we are, oh, actually, because it's nice when there was a, when you have a semi-final where you're like, man, it's, it was 5 spaces, 5 tickets to the games, and there's 10 people that I expect would get a ticket. So that's
Yeah.
like that's, from the outside in, exciting to watch. From the
Yeah.
inside, an absolute nightmare for you.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Yeah. It's always stressful. Um, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's another thing is like you kind of need the new athletes. Like even me being like less new, like I'm newer ish, kind of like depending on how you look at it. Um, like you kind of need new athletes to stay interested in the sport. And if we just make it harder and harder for people, sport's gonna slowly die. Like the people who've been around long, like Brent and Matt and Pat, if they retire and we don't have a pool of athletes coming behind them, like we're just letting the sport die. So we have to somehow like keep it exciting at the top, but also like allow new people to think, okay, like I have a chance. You need to have a chance to
Yeah,
qualify, and if people don't think they have a chance, then you know
they
they're
go
not
do
going to
high rocks.
participate. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
going to go do something else. So I think that's one of the cool things about the Open is like anybody could go, okay, this year if I want to try, I can try. I can go do the Open in quarters and then see how close I am and see the progress. And so that kind of keeps the sport alive. And I hope the World Fitness Project does kind of something similar because I think right now it's a little more like geared towards like a more very competitive athlete. There's not as many spots. So
Yeah. Yeah, which, but as you said, like it's something to strive for, isn't it? And I guess that's what you need to see that there are opportunities. I mean, you think about the major sports and
yeah.
like the drive that people had often to get into those sports was like, poverty. Like, oh, I have no money, my family's very poor. This is an opportunity to like change my life and change their lives. Or
Yeah.
education, like in America, very often it's tied to scholarships and things like that. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, actually the sport is second to me being able to go to this school and get an education that I wouldn't have access to otherwise. So
Yeah.
there's all, this drive to do it. Whereas like realistically, I don't see that being the case necessarily for like CrossFit functional fitness, not at least anytime
Yeah.
soon. But people are kind of more, it's like you, as someone who never competes, I find it funny to say this, but it's like you tell people at the box that maybe setting something for them to train for, maybe it's a local comp, it's like just to kind of motivate them through the next 6 months of training because you've got this
Mhm.
comp coming up, right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're a very skilled, high-ish level athlete, and there's an achievable potential, like maybe you could go to this level of
Hmm.
competition, and these are the rewards that you'll get if you're there, like that's something for that to push them forward, and that will just bring up a lot more
Yeah.
athletes, and you'll have, even if it's still the majority of the same names we see perhaps at the games or at
Yeah.
or
At the
at
highest
Rogue,
level. Yeah.
at least
Exactly.
you start to see different, like I always find so many new athletes to follow at semifinals. Like it's
Yeah.
one of
Because
the
there's
best
so many.
times.
Yeah.
uh like even this time I've actually messaged someone the other day that yesterday I think, because they will be competing at Wodapalooza. They're
Yeah.
like, somebody's predicted them to finish dead last. And I was
Cool.
like, hey, come on the show afterwards. Once you've proved them wrong, let's let's have a
I think I
chat.
know who did that. Mr.
Yeah,
Brian Friend, was it?
potentially. Hey, well, then people can go and find out who the person is. But anyway, maybe Shelby, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows these things? Let's talk about that post though. Because you it's so funny because you posted like the picture is like you jumping on the beach. It's so happy, and it's like, oh, look at this like nice, upbeat, positive Shelby Neal we've got here. And then the post is all about like comparisons and feeling really down. I shouldn't be comparing myself to other people all the time. And I was like,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. Um, that's not very friendly.
What's not
I mean,
friendly?
I'm guessing predicting someone to finish last, but
Oh, Brian Friend. Yeah.
but I mean, in fairness, it was a ranking list of the entire field, so someone had to finish last. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
it wasn't, I'll give you the top 5 and then I'm going to tell you this person's coming dead last. I mean, that would be
Just
that would be
rude.
that would be mean. It wasn't that. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I was interested about the post because it was all about kind of comparisons and comparing yourself to other people and things like that. And you were sort of
Yeah.
saying that you'd been struggling a bit with this.
Yeah.
Um, can you just like, I don't know,
Talk about
when
it.
you're saying compare, yeah, elaborate a little bit on kind of, without then going into like a dark spiral of despair. But if you could just, in a positive, friendly, happy way, what do you
Yeah.
mean about, who are you comparing yourself to? What's going on,
Yeah.
Shelby?
Well, I think a couple things. I was coming back from Spain. I also FitFest, like a long travel stint, kind of like a solo travel stint. I don't know if you saw I was traveling kind of alone, meeting friends obviously along the way, but kind of like you're still just on your own in this kind of foreign country. So,
Yeah.
um,
Oh,
maybe, and then coming back and feeling like, oh my God, like you have the travel brain, like you're behind on everything. You feel like crap because when you go to train, because of the time change and because of competing and because of also taking some time off. And it was just a lot of things kind of like bubbled up. And then also like comparing yourself to other people at FitFest, comparing yourself to like the World Fitness Project announcements, like people were getting pro cards, feeling a little unsure about the season that's coming, not sure how I'm gonna like fit into that, whether it's the game season, the World Fitness Project, something else. Um, and yeah, it's just kind of like hard not to
yeah.
have some comparison thoughts. So I feel like
You're
I'm in a
sitting for like 2 hours in an airport with nothing to do
yeah.
but think about that, and you're like, or yeah, because also it's that, isn't it? It's like either you're just sitting there, you know, contemplating, or you're distracting yourself, which probably means you're going on your phone, which means you're going on Instagram, which means you're seeing everybody posting about, all the incredible things they're doing and how they're ready to crush 2025 already. And you're like,
Yeah,
guys,
yeah,
slow down. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. So I mean, when you're like making these comparisons, are you also, like, we've talked about how busy you are with engineering, we've talked about like, how different life is for all the different people. Do you find it easy enough to kind of like, there is no one that is in the same situation as you, but
Hmm.
does that enter your mind when you start making these comparisons, or you're just like, oh well, we both do
Yeah, I
CrossFit and
think
they're doing this and
that's
I'm doing that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
that's kind of what like brings me back, I guess. Like it's the only thing um like I need to think of things that I have going for me kind of to make me kind of come to the realization that like I'm doing just fine. You know, you're just in a different stage of life. It's okay. And who knows what they're actually going through. I've realized Instagram is a lie also. nothing is nothing is true. So you kind of just have to go, okay, like look, what's my situation? How am I doing? I'm doing just fine. Like there's, we don't need to be playing the comparison game. Like kind of one what's the metaphor that someone was explaining to me is like, you're on year one of starting your career, and then you're comparing yourself to someone who's at year 10, who's the CEO of a company or very high managerial status at a company, and you're going, why am I not at that level? That's almost like me comparing myself to like Tia, right? Like that is not a comparison that we need to be having when I'm on year 2 of making it to the games, and someone else is on year whatever 6 of winning the games. You know what I mean? it's
yeah,
it's a very like bad place to put yourself in. And so it's funny because like some people will come to me and express their feelings about me and my like persona or whatever I put on like the internet. It's always different than what I have in my head.
all right. Like,
Like
good or bad?
yeah, they always are like, oh, you're crushing life.
Oh right,
You're
okay, yeah,
yeah, it's very positive. Like you're crushing life. You're an engineer. You've got sponsors and you're traveling a ton. And I'm like, I feel like I don't travel enough. I feel like I'm
yeah,
drowning in, work and busyness, and I'm barely keeping up. And so it's a good like, if I looked back 5 years ago at where I am right now in my life, I would be very, very happy with the progress I've made and where I've come, making it to the games 2 years in a row,
yeah,
getting sponsorships, getting to travel internationally, balancing a full-time job. Like there's so many positives to where I'm at right now, and I have to just focus on those and know that like any worries I have now, like 2 years from now, I'm probably be like, look, I overcame it, and I have new worries. So it's
yeah.
always a clock, keep going.
Yeah, it's funny because you're saying like, I can't compare my 2 years with Tia, and you're
Yeah,
like, you're absolutely right. But then you're going to have people that were like, I went to the games as a teen, and I've
yeah,
never been able to break back in to the field as
Yeah.
an as an individual. You've done it twice. Then there are
Yeah.
people that are like, I made it to the games. I made it to the games, and I
Yeah.
can't get back there. I just can't. I don't know what I'm doing
Right.
wrong. So
Yeah.
it's that thing of like, you're always gonna, like, you're comparing yourself to the people that are doing what you would like to see, like what you would like to achieve, and then there
Yeah.
are the people behind you that are like, man, I wish I was as good as Shelby. But you're
Exactly.
not like
Yeah.
turning, and you're not like turning around and going, and you wouldn't, but it's like, you don't turn around and look at the people that are trying to do what you're doing and be like, huh, I'm so much better than them, because that's not,
Yeah.
like, that's not what we do, right? That's
No.
mean, but that's the
Yeah. Yeah.
reality, right? There are
But
so
it
many
is. It
people that
is.
are, yeah, would be like, man, if I could be in Shelby's shoes, I'd love it. As you said,
Yeah.
probably they wouldn't, because they would be like, hold on, what do I have to do for work? How hard is this
Hang
job?
on a second.
What? That's not, she didn't
Yeah.
post that on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have coworkers that follow me too, so I'm like, I always, like, what can I even say about work? It would be weird probably to talk about it.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, they're
But
like,
yeah, I
that's
mean,
not
that is
true. She just
true.
makes the coffees. What?
I know. They're like, what the heck? It's all a
Yeah,
lie.
yeah.
But yeah,
They're
it
like
is
coming around the desk. She's doing
interesting.
burpees behind her desk because she's got to fit in the training, because she couldn't get the session because the gym programmed a ring muscle up progression, so she couldn't access the rings in open gym today. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
secrets all start to bubble out at this point, don't they? That's interesting. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, but it is true, like, just comparing yourself to like your past self, where 3 years ago I would have done anything to be a games athlete in the individual, like, that was my dream. All I want to do is do that. And now that I'm here 2 years into like being a games athlete, you have other things that you're like, oh, I wish I was just, I mean, you have to just like
yeah.
accept you're in a great spot where you're at and be grateful, I guess, for your current state. And so that's kind of like maybe my 2025 goals is to just like mental goals is to just go, okay, like this is where I'm at. It's totally fine. And we'll continue just to keep working towards our goals and not let it like affect us negatively.
Yeah.
Us as in me.
Us as in me. Yeah.
Us as in me
Us
and
as
me
in
saying
Shelby
my
Neal.
head.
Well, because I also think it's really interesting. Like, even when so if people are like, I want to make it to the games, then you make it to the games. It's like, oh, if I could finish like top 10, that would be the dream. Oh, actually, I finished
Yeah,
fourth. If I can finish on the podium, that would be the dream. If I can
exactly.
win, and then I think about people that have won the games the last couple of years, and I'm
Mhm.
like, Adler won the games, and people were like, Roman got injured. Don't know if it counts. Then Sprague wins the games. Lots of people withdrew. It wasn't the proper games. I don't know if that counts. So it's like, oh, you could, even when you win,
It's
you're
not
still
enough.
left feeling
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
people aren't convinced that you won. So it's kind of like, what
Yeah.
can you do at this point? Unless you do
Yeah.
like a Matt or a Tia and you just keep winning. And then,
And
but then
but the thing
even
is,
Tia at
like,
Rogue was saying,
I'm an
she
underdog.
kept saying about people who doubted her, which was, so which, if that's what she truly believed, then that talks to, again, like, comparison and what you think is
Mhm.
happening. So I guess even if you are the, like, kind of undisputed favorite going in, even that's not enough. So
Yeah.
I won't
Yeah.
worry about it, Shelby. Just go around jumping on the beach. It seems like that was the
Yeah.
solution,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Well, yeah, even like that, like pictures like that, where it's like I'm on
Well,
the beach,
exactly.
like having fun, and it's like people are like, "Oh, I just want to go to Spain," It's like, well, it's just like
Yeah, I
I'm
love the
not,
idea of all
I'm
these
not.
people liking the post because they're like, "Oh, this is such a lovely post," and then they come up to you, "Oh, that was such a lovely post." Which one?
Yeah.
"Oh, you're like on the beach," and you're like, "Did you read the caption?" No, because it was a long caption. There was a lot
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Well,
It
it
was
was
a
kind of more of
dissertation
like
that I
a
wrote.
testament to like it's like life isn't what it looks like, maybe
Yeah,
because like obviously the pictures are very positive, and then the captions more like just more of like what I'm thinking
yeah,
as I'm literally on a beach in a like beautiful place. It's like even when you're living life to your dream, you can still have doubts and you can still like feel like it's your life isn't enough or you're not like doing enough to go towards your goals. And it's like you're literally here traveling in a foreign country. That's what you love to do.
yeah,
And you're still having those thoughts. So it's like kind of just like ground you, bring me back. I had so many conversations with people close to me about this, and I'm finally, I feel like, over that hump. But I'll get a period and then I'll be back in the dump. So we'll
Okay.
just
Well, we'll clip this bit and then we'll send it to you, and you can just watch it on repeat next time. You're like, hold on, what did I tell myself? Ah, yeah, there we go. Maybe a final thing then, because I know that you're a busy person. You've got lots to get through. Talking of things coming up and how unsure we are about the season and all of this, obviously Wodapalooza is the next thing for you.
Yep.
You're not competing as an individual though, right? You're just on the team.
team.
So a team, impressive team, right? You, DB, Emma Lawson.
Yeah.
That's a great team. Potentially some wonderful future guests if you can put in a good word for me. But that's your little side mission for you there, Shelby. Just
side mission.
yeah, if you can, if you've got time. I know you're busy, but
I'll see if I can invite the winners of Wodapalooza team to the podcast.
There we go. Shots called. So I mean, looking forward to that, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm excited. We have like an Airbnb all together, so I'm hoping it's just a fun time. Like we're all just hanging out and having fun on the beach, basically.
Oh, what's Jonathan said? He's saying an interesting here. So I'm reading a book called "Don't Believe Everything You Think" that talks about what she's talking about. There you go.
Need a recommendation. I'll take it.
See, look at us. We're very highbrow this show as well now. we do book recommendations here as well, so that's good. Oh, that sounds fine. I like that. So, and was FitFest the last thing? You've not done anything between
no.
FitFest and what? So you kind of have. It's been a really nice sort of end to the year, start to the new year, just having fun, I guess, competing. And I guess Wodapalooza is, there is pressure because it's a big comp, but you know, more pressure than, let's say, FitFest. But again, it sounds it's, you know, it's more fun than a semi-final where you're like, oh, tickets on the line to the games, I've got to, you know, or even other stages where you're like, this could end my season and the plans I've made for the next 6 months. So yeah, well, I hope you have fun.
Thank you.
I would ask for your strategy, but you know, I don't want to. Sure, it's just go out and win, isn't it? That's
it's a win.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very fit team. Shelby Neal,
I'm excited.
Emma Lawson,
I will do
Brandon.
well.
You will do well. So yeah, well, come and join us for a victory lap. We'd love to have you for that. Beyond Wodapalooza, with how, you know, you've mentioned like all the different avenues of fitness that are opening up at the moment and how unsure people are. Can we know anything about your plans for 2025 for the season? What you know, what the initial steps are at least?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything concrete right now, and I think that's just kind of the nature of next year. Some people were given pro cards for World Fitness Project. I was not, so if I want to do that, I have to do the online qualifiers and like earn my way there, which I'm thinking I will participate in. I don't really know the rules enough to know like if I need to do both of those like semifinal level events to get to the final / games event, like the final year event. So it's kind of just a matter of like understanding that system a bit better and then picking both or one or maybe none if I end up not qualifying. Like, it usually kind of depends on how things go. But like I said, there's a lot of opportunities. So it's kind of like I'm going to have to do some online qualifiers, probably do the open, see where that gets me in like Syndicate Crown or other events. It might automatically qualify me for those, which is good, would be great. And then maybe some other qualifiers. And then we have like, okay, now we have a year where we have 4 events, kind of 3 or 4 events kind of like in mind that are in person, and let's stick with those. And hopefully that qualifies us for the games or the finals for the World Fitness Project. And then that's a pretty big year for me. Like typically I do just semis, the games, and then one other competition. So this would be like a pretty big like number of comps change for me. But that is one of my like goals this year, is to compete a bit more. So
nice. Okay, so we should be looking out to see a bit more Shelby Neal. We should be looking at some merch that you might come out with that's something about, you know, not being gifted a pro card and like how you had to earn your you know, earn your way here, something like that, just really to kind of rile people up.
Definitely am gonna try to control my sass if that comes up in an interview. I have definitely dreamed about what I will say.
Yeah.
But I have to calm my nerves.
Yeah, you have to be friendly with them the rest of the time, don't you?
Yeah. Like, you should have given me a damn pro card.
Yeah.
but it's okay.
I mean, that's your motivation to win it right there. That's
Yeah,
your acceptance speech when you win the whole thing.
yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. So just make sure next time, guys, when you're handing out those cards,
Exactly,
the champ
exactly.
is here.
Yep. Well, I
Well,
think competing like this year would be good because like it qualifies you for next year, right? So it makes sense kind of to like kind of
yeah.
dabble in that and see if it's worth it. So
Yeah, it's always good to, I mean, obviously there are people that like started CrossFit early and were like, I was so glad I got in early
hmm
doors because it's opened all these opportunities that now there's not the same opportunities for people. Like you've got to work a lot harder to get into those. Like we don't, it's rare to see people come up and then become like a Rich Froning and have so much,
yeah,
so many avenues explode out from being good at CrossFit.
yeah,
Um, because it's already like a lot of those things are already established. So it's
hmm
kind of, so yeah, getting in early doors of like, okay, maybe, it would have been nice if a card had turned up in the post. It didn't. I've
yeah.
had to earn my way there, but now I'm in.
Now I'm hit. I now I'm
uh,
in and solidified exactly, and accumulating points. Like so, like I said, like we're trying to figure out how the point system works and like what's the right way to attack that
Yeah,
season. Because it's very new, so we'll
yeah.
see.
Well, I'm worried if an engineer like you is struggling to understand it, Shelby, then that doesn't that doesn't bode
I
well
need the
for the
numbers.
rest of us.
I'm ready
Okay.
to crunch the numbers when they give them to me. Like first, second, first through 30th. What are the points? What do you get? How many do you need to make it to finals? I'm ready when they release them. I just need them
Yeah.
to tell me because I will be doing it.
Just sitting there with your abacus, sliding all the beads across. Right, that's how many I need here, and then okay, yeah, perfect, wonderful. Well, all the best with that. Have fun in Miami. Don't
Yeah,
work too hard between now and then,
I'll
but
try.
just hard enough not to get in trouble, and then
Yeah.
enjoy your training. Yeah, would hopefully we can catch up post Miami, and then maybe when you've solidified the numbers and you know exactly what you're doing with the rest of the season, that would be lovely. Thank you everybody in the chat. Wonderful questions, the comments, the book recommendations. I think that's a first for this show to actually have a book recommendation. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
If you're here, I might as well just let you know that I will be back on Thursday with Fee and Alex. They were meant to be on this week, but that got pushed back to next week. So Fee and Alex will be on Thursday at 10 p.m. in the UK, which is probably some more reasonable time in the US. And then on Sunday after that, so not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, I will have Team Domit on. We'll have Anton and Abby will be joining me on the show as well. So getting all the FitFest crew back together, Shelby.
Yeah.
That's what's
All
happening.
couples too.
All the yeah, I've got a couple of couples. It will be interesting, an interesting experiment. Let's see. I feel
Yeah.
like they'll be honest about the other person, so that's how you
Right,
get
right.
that's how you get the real goss. That's
I've never done a podcast with my boyfriend before.
okay. So when
He
you
would
come back on,
hate it. He would hate it. I don't think he'll do it.
we'll drag him on, kicking and screaming, all the more entertaining. Anyway, thank you again, Shelby. Have fun in Miami. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you very soon, I hope.
Bye.